I'm going in. More than just a tick, when I'm going in, I'ma make sure it's right. All up in you guys make a big page, but when I do it too big, I mean outrageous. Who you think is dealing with doll face? I only don't make kings and queens, you know, cause I'm the ace by the case. That's right, I said I'm going in. While you out running errands, I'm running this game, I'm in that top spot. Natural born winner, work hard, play harder, come and get it if you wanna, but yo, you better know. I'm going in.
And it seems like it's over so soon. How quickly the time has passed as our final set has arrived. Our final matchup of the day, Edward Gaming versus JD Gaming, to round out this Saturday night. Two very high-level teams about to go head-to-head on the Rift. The old dynasty of Edward Gaming maintaining their eternal brilliance in the LPL, but the new up-and-comers of JD Gaming now making a rise of their own. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dom. Joining me once again for this final match is Clement.
Hi, everyone. This is one to be really excited about. Huge grudge match, EDG. We thought they were going to go down in 2018 with JD Gaming knocked them out of the playoffs. One of the first times that maybe EDG was going to miss Worlds, but they clawed themselves back in the gauntlet to take down JD Gaming and their hopes from advancing, and made it all the way.
And now, before we get to that, I do recall there was something that you wanted to announce that you just worked on a short while ago.
Oh, yeah. We are going to go into another face-to-face episode where we would like you guys, the audience, to throw your questions to us on Twitter. There's a post already there. You can look for it. If you just respond underneath your question, we can bring it tonight. We'll have a sit-down with him. We'll ask your questions to what probably is the best mid laner currently in the LPL.
Yeah, of course, there's so much that you can learn. I believe it was Ian just a few games earlier today. His favorite pizza is pineapple pizza, which I know is a divisive topic for many people.
That
so
does
perhaps
not make him a good player then.
Perhaps Knight also is a fan of pineapple pizza? Who knows? There's only one way to find out, and that's to send your questions on over to @LPLEnglish on Twitter. But now turning our attention back to this matchup, Edward Gaming versus JD Gaming. We got to start at the top. We talked about the old dynasty of EDG. It all starts with one man, Clear Love.
The entire LPL starts with Clear Love. He is the player 001. We give a serial number to all of the players, and he is it. When he has came back, he's played 4 games so far, won all 4 of them, and EDG look absolutely dominant. A 2-0 series versus Suning, a 2-0 series versus Rogue Warriors. He didn't even make the games close. He jumped out so far with the #1 KDA of the league, even bringing down Loka into it. And the games he's been playing have been suffocating, have been dominant, have been absolutely one-sided, and it's good to see the Destroyer back in the LPL.
Yeah, I mean, after all, we know what year it is here, as Clear Love with all of those 7s. He's been around for ages. Can he actually convert it into something more at Worlds? Because I don't think it's so much a question of, will EDG go to Worlds this year? They've gone every other year. What else is new? And they're running the exact same roster and look just as good.
The important thing to note is Clear Love, his style, he's not doing it with damage. He's doing it with map control. You can see right there, ranked 23rd in his own position in terms of damage. He does half the damage a support normally does, but he's able to set the map up so well that EDG can consistently find picks. They're moving much better together. In the post-game interviews, when iBoy was asked, what's the difference with Clear Love here? His answer was, well, everything just seems to run smoother. And that's exactly the case. If you watch their game games in this 4-game stretch, it does seem like Clear Love makes EDG a better team. Another stat we really like to highlight is, even though he doesn't do a lot of damage, he actually has better jungle proximity across the board compared to Haro. All 3 of his lanes are getting more looks, and this is what I love about him. He's an absolute pest to play against. If you're trying to go back, he's going to harass you in backing.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to do a full committal, but he'll throw you something, a skill shot, and force you to delay your back. If you're just set up in a pushing lane, he's going to take away that vision, and it just makes everything so hard.
It almost seems like he has this aura around him. There's a reason he's so revered in the LPL, specifically referring to this aura that we might just call the Clear Love effect. He comes in and he might play the same champion. He might play the same style, but something is different within EDG anytime Clear Love takes to the Rift. And the most recent recipient of this buff of the Clear Love effect has been in the top lane in Ray.
There's a meme going on the Chinese internet that says Ming Kai plus Ray equals Kai Ray, which actually says Carry.
Oh, okay.
Get that?
I like it. I know that word.
All right. But Ray was doing insanely well. We've actually had the plus and minus compared to in terms of a GD at 15, which I think is most notable fact. It's actually up by 670 gold compared with the 2. So before with Haro, he was actually consistently losing lane by a small margin. Now with Clear Love, he's consistently dominating lane, and that really shows you how well Clear Love is using the pressure and presence of the jungler on the map. It's not always about the confrontation, it's not always about the conflict, but just putting the fear in the enemy mind.
And we do have to clarify, one of those 2 sets was against Rogue Warriors, whom we just saw, who's not exactly a top-tier team. Of course, the other set was against Suning, a team that has to be respected here in the LPL. And that he's still able to have this effect over the course of top-tier teams means that JD have got to be sweating. But then you actually look at what JD are bringing in this lineup, because we've got the Dumpling Brothers, we've got Levi and Flawless, we've got Imp and Lumao. I'm actually getting ahead of myself. Let's get to the EDG roster first of all. You know him, you've seen him hundreds of times. It's Ray, Clear Love, Scout, iBoy, and Mako.
Clear Love, again, showing up for only his 4th game and has dropped the 7 from its name because it's not 2017 anymore.
Of course. Their opponents, though, Zoom, Levi making a showing today, Yagao, Imp, and Lumao for JD Gaming. And that's a look of surprise, Clement.
Imp has been the one turning heads for a lot of people on this team. We've all seen the highlights where all 10 members fall down. Imp is back in his tippy-top team fight form. And my look of surprise was actually for Levi, because we actually haven't seen him win a game for JD Gaming yet, and this is actually considered quite an important matchup between these 2 teams. To me, it seems like they must have something must have improved that they're now bringing on Levi in this crucial matchup.
I actually want to get to that a little bit. I've got a note written here. As I was watching VODs to prepare for this matchup, there was one major theme, I think, that I took away from watching JD Gaming's matches, and I'm just going to read it. It's quoted from you as of a few days ago. JD never expect other teams to beat them to the punch. Is this something that they need to worry about with Edward Gaming, one of the greatest macro teams of all time?
It definitely is. EDG, they're the ones that can read your team. Like, they have telepathy once more, and I think with Clear Love, they're moving around the map much better. They're getting jungle vision much better. You could see the vision score on Clear Love, one of the top in the jungler class. And between these 2 guys, I think the most crucial matchup, we just had a Lorther right there, is actually Scout's champion pool.
Yes.
11 consecutive games we've seen the Akali being banned away from Scout. And Scout's Akali was the difference maker when it came to the gauntlet. Yagao and Scout faced up. Yagao didn't really have the champions to follow up with the meta of LeBlanc, Aurelia, and stuff like that. And Scout was able to dominate with the Akali, winning team fights both times around, winning the lanes as well. So if Scout once more gets up to that great start, a great assassin start against Yagao, there's not much Yagao actually provides.
So then we've got to ask the question, knowing that this is the case for JD, that they don't expect other teams to beat them to the punch, that Ray is on fire with Clear Love back and playing for Vision, with Scout getting that Akali banned so consistently, does JD expect to win this? And if they do, how do they do it?
I actually think Levi has a decent enough matchup against Clear Love.
Yeah.
The problem with Clear Love in his later phases is that he typically could not win the 1v1 contest with opposing junglers. We've seen this when he's gone to Worlds against young teams, even wildcard teams. They were able to beat him in a one-on-one basis and really limit his impact on the map. So whenever you're playing with Clearlove, he's going to win when he makes it a situation where he's competing with the communication between him and his lanes. He's always going to win out on that.
But if you can break it,
yes, if you can break that chain and make it a solo between Levi and Clearlove, he's actually not guaranteed to win that. His champion pool does not even suggest that he would win that.
And if I remember correctly, I believe that was the reason why Clearlove stepped away from EDG for so long, because he felt that his individual skill level in 2018 had declined to such a point that he was a detriment to the team, regardless of the Clearlove effect. So perhaps, as you just mentioned, that could be something that we see Levi target. Of course, you still have to remember, you've got the Dumpling Brothers, you've got Imp and Lumao. If you've got these powerful lanes, these powerful duos calling for your attention, and you also have to target Clearlove, that kind of creates a tough dichotomy.
It definitely does, and this is going to be one of the toughest drafts to really call because all three lanes can go off at the same time. Ray's finally been finding his form on carry champions outside of tanks. Me and Raz, we always like to just put Ray on the tank. Make life easy for you, you know? But Ray... okay, he's finally got my vote of confidence.
Yeah.
He can finally play these champions to a higher degree, and I actually feel okay with him selecting something that has a bit of split push potential.
Yeah.
It really is about, I think, the jungler duo, because whenever Clearlove's on the map, he does make it about the link between his lanes. If you can't break that link, if you don't have the same synergy with your laners, you're never going to beat EDG. It's not even about the mechanical prowess.
Yeah.
It's about the communications, and it's about how they can provide subtle pressure, taking away vision, stopping backs, making sure you're off tempo.
And that's where we come down to how confident these lanes are going to be against each other. Because when you take them on a one-on-one matchup, you've got Ray versus Zoom, two very, very talented top laners who have been putting on some very clinical showings. Yagao versus Scout, the exact same thing. Heck, even in the bottom lane, with Imp starting to turn heads against iBoy, who does have a bit of a stylistic je ne sais quoi that can get him out of position at times. Similar, perhaps, to olden day Imp. These teams start to look a little bit more similar than you might initially expect, but for the exception of that big jungle difference between Levi and Clearlove. But we've entered into pick and ban for game one between EDG and JD. You said we can't really predict the drafts. I think there's one thing that we pretty much can predict. Lucian will be involved somehow. He's banned away already, and we are going to see Scouts, Akali, and Zoe banned by JD.
That's going to make it 12 games in a row. These guys haven't even reached the 20-game mark, and over half of them, Akali needs to be taken out of the equation. EDG, they're still holding on to the same edge they had during the 2018 Gauntlet. Its Scout is such a superior mid laner to what Yagao can provide. If I can just put him on Assassin, he'll win me the lane, he'll win me the team fights. EDG still believe in that.
Yeah, color me Owen Wilson. Oh, wow, that guy is taking LeBlanc first pick blue side. You can already see some laughter out of the members of JD as Rise is the very early hover, perhaps as a flexible answer. It can go to Zoom, it can go to Yagao. We'll see if he wants to perhaps save that for a flex pick later on. Maybe look for like a Vladimir or an Urgot or something to try and shut Scout down. Because now JD, they get to pick for themselves. Are they going to look towards Imp and Lumao in the bottom lane? Do they prioritize Levi in the jungle, knowing what he has to contend with?
So this is more of a takeaway pick for Levi. It sets up a very good CZ chain in the mid lane, and maybe they're thinking that, hey, once we get that CZ chain, we can take Scout out of his rhythm, but instead they're going to go for the Alistar. I actually favor the Alistar for Lumao a little bit more. I think the CZ chain between Rise and Jarvan actually takes a while, so a lot of times it doesn't work out as well as you hope it could, but Clearlove, for him, it's an easy answer.
Yeah.
The Jarvan is just, I think you can play Jarvan in a very cerebral way, where you're just going on for the engages. He's just there to pressure with the tower sieges. The extra attack speed really does help.
I mean, when we were looking for footage for highlight clips from B-roll this morning, one of the ones is in which he plays Jarvan. He walks forward, places down a flag in lane, and I think it was Ray, dives the turret, gets the kill, basically solo, and then Clearlove just walks away. Just walks in, drops a flag, and leaves.
That's the secret of getting my KDA.
Exactly.
Standard is a great KDA machine, by the way.
Look at that. Imp with the blind pick
He hasn't locked it, though.
That's been locked in. We're already on the ban for Imp up next.
What? Oh,
Clemens.
You're right. He actually does lock the Vayne in.
Tossing the gauntlet. Kai'Sa and Lucian are already banned away. With Xayah taken off, that's starting to limit some of the hyper carries for iBoy to answer. But there are still plenty of aggressive options to try and deal with this. JD Gaming.
That's pretty insane.
They're putting their faith in Imp, which a year ago, anyone would have told you that we're crazy.
This is the first time we've seen a Vayne coming out from Imp in a long time.
Very long time, yes.
Yeah. He was on utility champions for most of 2018. He even played a lot of Sivir, you know, just wave clear away. He's been showing great performances on the Kai'Sa, but I did not expect him to pick it up to this level. He wants everyone to remember him from 2014.
Heck, even 2015 summer was just as spectacular. One of the biggest highlights of my entire career was getting to cast Imp versus Deft in the 2015 LPL Summer Finals. Or sorry, I believe it was semifinals.
I remember that play.
That was.
I know what exactly.
It was Kog'Maw and Twitch were the primary indicators of the entire set. Oh man, oof. I keep getting stuck down memory road, memory lane. But hey, we've already got the Kalista banned away, Aatrox stricken off, and Levi taking Lee Sin.
This is what I want to see. Take it to the old timer. Make it a one-on-one. Stop him from even reaching his lanes by that point. Levi, a great Lee Sin player. This is the champion he used mainly to climb the Korean ladder and got him that amount of notoriety on the champion. It's a champion that Clearlove himself is actually also very familiar with, but has not really played to the level that we wanted him to in the professional scene. So JD Gaming, I like their track. They're looking for the late game team fight, late game 1-3-1 split push potential, and also just dueling power to take Clearlove out the game. Is Mako going to step up to the challenge? Sorry, iBoy.
Twitch, I like. Twitch, Ezreal. Okay, all right. Sticking with the meta, though he gives us a bit of a chuckle, Mako, keeping us on our toes as we now look for the final pickup to determine where that rise is going to go. Now that we can see what it's going to be, LeBlanc in the mid lane, Vladimir up top for Ray, so he gets the chance to flex his carry muscles once again. We saw him absolutely destroy Rogue Warriors on that champion just a few days ago. But this time, he's up against the Dumpling brothers of Zoom and Yagao as Yorick gets flexed over at the last second. A bit of a feign from JD, as instead it is going to be a tank split pusher, and that rise going mid to Yagao.
Now, like JD's overall idea with this composition, it is more about the late game. If the things go even, then we've seen the Yorick actually come slightly out ahead of the matchup. And with the Rise as well, you have a great chance to just play a 1-3-1 split pushing. It is something that's based around individual strength rather than communication, so you do have a different route than EDG. For EDG side, however, this is the ultimate one-shot combo. The amount of damage that they can pour through on you at once is absolutely staggering. If they ever get map control, if they can force you to come to the objectives, they will come out of the woodwork and all throw their ultimates on the same time. The Hemo Plague's going to enhance all of that. You have an Ezreal AoE ult going down, and LeBlanc can pop targets very, very easily.
Oh, yeah.
It's an absolute destructive composition that if you can't survive it, they'll just take a clean teamfight wipe one after the other.
It almost seems very high risk to see I almost said I have Imp in my head, so I'm thinking LGD. Sometimes you can't just separate the two concepts. JD Gaming taking such an aggressive high risk composition, knowing EDG have got so much burst, have got so much ability to pick people out and force them to pay for being just a single step out of line. But in that same vein, pun definitely not intended, they have the safety and scaling. If they can keep themselves in line and keep themselves safe to transition through that risky mid game, that is a strong late game. You've got Vayne, you've got Rise, you've got Yorick for split push. EDG are going to be the ones in trouble if that game goes long enough.
It's an insane composition, and it has a lot of points that can actually dish out damage. You're right, JD Gaming, this is a very good late game comp, but it's also something they don't really pick most of the time. They like being in the driver's seat. They like being the one pushing the tempo forward and having to rush in towards team fights. EDG, they could play around these tendencies. If they're running towards them, it makes it a very easy wombo combo to execute. So they have to be careful, and I wonder if JD Gaming have the patience to back away from fights they can't take.
And now we've loaded onto the Rift. It's game one between Edward Gaming and JD Gaming. Time to hear now from the fans who they think is going to take this match.
This is the first time I've heard another team actually drown out the cheers for JD Gaming in their home arena.
Yep.
That's the power of Clear Love.
That's the power of EDG, of the dynasty, the monolith itself, and still they stand. But hey, on the blue side, they've got themselves some time before they have to start worrying about what the fans think, because right now, they just need to close out this series and bring themselves to 5-3, because if they do, they will tie up with JD Gaming in the standings and get one step closer to locking in that playoff spot, as we do have double red start from both junglers. Zoom going for a bit of a leash to help springboard Levi forward, but Clear Love on that Jarvan doesn't have to worry about getting a leash of his own, as he's already moving as quick as he can.
Yeah, this is quite interesting from the top side. We actually see Ray do this a lot when Clear Love is on the map. It's holding his minion wave and grouping the minion wave early. This actually creates a lot of fear for the enemy top laner, because he's worried that if the wave pushes too far forward, then maybe he's going to get ganked. Maybe there's going to be something early coming in. But however, Clear Love is spotted earlier on. I don't think he can actually take this.
Scout gets there just a bit faster as Levi walks forward. Flash gets away from the knock-up. Levi's actually still forced to run away from this one. Sonic Wave to the Wolves in order to escape. So just like that, he did one thing, Clement. He auto-attacked him once, and Levi was forced to flash and dash away. Of course, that was due to Scout getting the faster roam, but that's the Clear Love effect in action.
Yeah, that's just the synergy between the lanes. Levi thought he could take it, but his mid laner was clearly not in a position to follow up at that point. Already the right side being taken by Scout, forcing Yagao to the left. So this is the type of play that we really praise Clear Love for. A lot of times he's not using brute force, he's not using flashy mechanics, he's using his voice to communicate with his teammates, and that's enough to make out plays.
Quite impressive. Get to the point where you don't have to outplay, where it's already a done fact, just by the mere fact of your presence. Now, Levi is actually looking for a bit of a gank bottom. Level 2 with double buff. Don't think he has level 3 just yet. Flash knockup from Lumao. Eyeboy's the target. Flash dash. Mako with the body block. Sees it coming faster than Levi does and flashes to soak the hit.
Oh, great play right there. Levi also didn't have his flash from the previous play, so there was no way he could quickly get into position there. He did have a slight chance, but Clear Love from the previous play already preventing that from happening.
And that is the high-level play of EDG's bottom lane, reacting and escaping. Though they do have to burn 2 flashes because of it, they are still safe and are allowed to continue to extend this laning phase and perhaps pull some more attention later on. As now Levi, still level 2, going to be spotted out by Ray on those Krugs. So still, constant tracking from EDG to keep an eye on Levi and keep these lanes safe during what could be a risky laning phase. As, ooh, that snare lands. Scout didn't quite have the distortion just yet, but Lumao doesn't find the chance to get over the wall.
Yeah, good attempt from Lumao being in the correct position, but Scout, well aware of the situation, didn't extend the trade further. So you want to, again, look at the top lane, because this is something that Ray has consistently did before. When you pull the first wave, it actually pushes back faster on the second wave, because your minion waves will
there's more distance between them.
Yeah, the first wave will push further into your own lane, and then your second wave will get there faster.
Zoom 2 seconds away from that final empowered Q, as he actually forces Ray out of lane. It is about time to go for a recall, as Clear Love now appears in the mid lane. Flash plus the Chains of Corruption. There is no follow-up flash from Levi. The timer isn't up, and Clear Love gets first blood. Oh man, the communication for EDG. It's an inch here, it's an inch there, but inevitably it'll turn into a kill and an advantage. 1,000 gold for EDG over JD Gaming.
You can see how easy that really looked for the players. They knew that the Lee Sin didn't have the flash. It was a very easy flash to go in with the Scout. Yagao didn't have any mana, and this is how Clear Love actually makes most of his plays. He does it through wave manipulation. You see, he's around the area, he has LeBlanc hold the wave for him, you're Yagao, you're looking at the minion wave, and you're like, wait a minute, if I don't push this in, I'm going to be so far behind in the lane, I can't do anything anymore, and Clear Love is always there to punish you.
Now Levi, he's trying to take it to the old man, but again, level 5 to level 3, there's not too much that he can do, even with Lumao getting in. they're just going to force Clearlove away and lock down the Scuttle Crab. But even Mako is trying to get some punish onto that and force them away from the Dragon should anything sort of result from that skirmish. But to come back to that skill from Clearlove, to know that wave manipulation, to know that positioning, this isn't something that you can go into practice tool or solo queue and just learn. This is years of experience of seeing every possible wave, every possible situation, and knowing without a shadow of a doubt what the best possible scenario could be, and then communicating that to your team.
It's an absolute pest the way he plays
Yeah.
with his lanes. Oh, for a large part of 2018, the only champion he played was Rek'Sai, and the way he would play it, he would just constantly delay your back. Like, that's all he did. He didn't even gank you most of the time.
Wave manipulation.
Yeah, he just shot a Q at you and made sure you couldn't back, so you lost out tempo, and then Scout would just hold the wave, and you'd lose 20 CS off of that.
And then Scout would come back with half an item and get the
You're
successful 1v1 and get the kill, and that converts. Again, it's years of experience and practice for Clearlove to get to this point. An absolute masterclass of a jungler and a super fun pleasure to watch. But already level 6 picked up by Zoom, and immediately the Maiden appears on the map. Zoom is holding on to his teleport, as Ray did use his. Though we are seeing just about even in CS, Ray might be able to get a slight advantage if he gets every single one of these minions. Not going to see it convert into too much outside of that, though, as right now we're still watching what the junglers do to separate these lanes, because we kind of expect them to go just about even.
Clearlove should be hitting level 6 off of this camp, and it should be a fairly straightforward walk into this lane. They already have the ward set up for it. They know there's not going to be a counter gank on the backside.
Ooh, Imp getting 2 Silver Bolts proc, and there's the level 6 you were talking about. Clearlove level 6, trying to sneak around the vision. The ward has just been placed. They didn't see him, but Clearlove still hanging around because this wave is slowly pushing in, slowly but surely. He's just waiting for the right opportunity. Lumao and Imp want to press the advantage, but it could cost them their lives.
Do they want to walk forward? That was a pretty good bait by iBoy. Actually, Arcane shifting backwards, still in range of the Alistar. It's like, oh, Arcane shifted.
Oh no, it's
short.
on cooldown. What am I going to do? Now they do have the control ward. Now they see him. They're going to start stepping forward. That's the first hit. Imp tumbles early. Cataclysm is ready, and they manage to find the Alistar. Lumao immediately instead goes in and tries to turn it around. Zoom chases as he teleports, and that's going to be the kill for Imp onto iBoy. He turns and chases it onto Clearlove. The auto attack, the minions! Oh, but he drops the shield. Will it be enough, though? Finally, Mako manages to go down. I'm not quite sure how Mako ended up going back in. Or perhaps he was just on the wrong side of things, but JD see the play coming and immediately react.
Yeah, better target selection from JD Gaming overall. EDG were forced to go on the Alistar first, and Vayne with Final Hour up is just too hard to stick all of the damage on. A great condemn coming in from Imp to clear out that play, and JD Gaming, they come up massively. Like, Levi wasn't even needed for that play.
The outplay from Imp and Lumao was more than enough, especially with an assistant teleport from Zoom. He knew he had a little bit of push advantage from that Yorick just by trait of the Maiden, and was able to keep himself safe. He is giving over a lot of gold and a lot of time to Ray, though. Not only is he 8 CS up, which is an 8 CS differential over Zoom, he's now 3 of the turret platings down and could be looking for a 4th, but here's that play again.
So you can see the come in. There's a obvious 3v2 potential here, but the target selection is not ideal for EDG. Zoomal managed to get all of his crowd control in time. 4 seconds has Zoom come in into the play, and a great dark procession coming in from Zoom as well to stop all of that. Even Yagao showing up. The only one not there actually was the Lee Sin.
Yeah, Levi was the last one to show up. Yeah. As JD, they collapse 5 members to the bottom lane to defend. Again, to be fair to Edward Gaming and JD, this is a play that we've seen countless times from EDG. Around 8 to 12 minutes. Once you start to get that first half item for iBoy, send the jungler. Maybe use a teleport from Ray to break down the bottom tier 1 and release him to rotate that iBoy up top and look for another top tier 1. So this is not new or innovative from EDG in any way, so perhaps JD predicted it, but still a good reaction overall from JD to bring the whole squad and pick up those kills.
You remember what Frostgurn used to say about EDG?
Oh, of course.
She always said, they're always going to go for bot lane. There's always going to be a big team fight there.
Yep.
It's just about when it's going to happen. And this time around, JD Gaming predicted when it was going to happen. Edward Gaming looked like a good start, but what they didn't factor in was Vladimir can't stop Zoom from teleporting. There's nothing you can actually do to stop the Yorick from coming down and influencing the fight there. And that was just one factor where they didn't communicate well enough between the team members, and it gave it to JD Gaming.
Yeah. In addition, that also yields over an Ocean Dragon that was taken in the meanwhile by JD, so some additional sustain that could help out the Yorick versus Vladimir matchup, because taking a look at it now, it's 15 CS ahead for Ray, and 3 of the turret plating's outer layers removed for a hefty amount of gold. Doesn't have the proto belt yet, but Scout and Clearlove, they're looking for Yagao. He's got flash. Caught by the ethereal chains. There's the true shot barrage as even iBoy gets in on the action, and Yagao ends up going down to the 4-stack of EDG.
It's only a 3-stack, but like you were said, yes, Ezreal did participate on the play as well. And JD Gaming, they just can't keep up with these mid lane plays. Very clear as day that Levi and Yagao are not on the same level as Scout as Clearlove in terms of how they're moving together as a team.
Yeah. That's I think the big difference between the first play that we saw and the play that we saw just now was Clearlove affects the connectivity of the team, not necessarily the straight up gank potential as Lumao.
He's spotted though.
Is he? Oh, there is a ward in Tribush. Yeah, they know that he's right there. Mako is ready. That's the tumble.
They're goading him to come in, and then that's going to be an instant taunt.
Mako just sits back with the Shield of Durand. To get back to that point that I was just talking about, the connectivity between Ray and Scout was what got that kill onto Yagao. The flexibility and freedom for Ray to roam out of lane and collapse with Scout to find that. Not necessarily Clearlove's predilection to gank bottom and set up for Mako and iBoy. Again, it's about the team, not the outplay, and that's what we're seeing in this matchup. Sonic Wave lands.
I was holding my breath right there.
Yeah, I know, me too. It's Levi, you never know.
Levi's like, I gotta get my first win.
He's thinking about it. Yeah, ooh, he wants it. But hey, there's the conversion bottom. The moment they see Levi, they turn on to Zoom instead. Oh, great procession that you were talking about. Ray gets the slow with Tides of Blood. Clearlove chases. Doesn't even need to use the Cataclysm as the auto attack Electrocute locks down the kill. Now they could turn it on to Rift Herald, but Yagao is trying to make the best of it by putting pressure mid. Bottom tier 1 taken, and JD support Yagao to keep him safe.
They do get the first tower in the bot side as well, but should be traded on the top. I actually do like that play from EDG because influencing the top side and how these two top laners are going to push against each other, I think is actually more important than collapsing on the Herald right now. Herald gives you an immediate buff with the turret gold, but influencing the matchup should be your #1 priority.
It's gold and map presence now versus having a winning Vladimir for the next 20 to 30 minutes. And already at 0-0-1 with the Proto Belt finished and that Fiendish Codex along with Sork Boots, it's probably feeling pretty good for Ray as Zoom still a long way off from that Triforce. Still only 2, oh no, actually just picked up the Stinger, now 3 components of that Triforce. So still just needs a little bit of gold to tick over towards it. But we do have the lane swap from JD, perhaps predicting Mako could be in trouble. That's the Shield of Durand, but Imp is going to do some good damage. Actually flashes out of this one, and Mako escapes with his life. Walks away from a Vayne Alistar.
Yeah, that was not supposed to happen, but the Condemn actually knocked Mako backwards. Mako picture-perfect timing on the flash. Somehow predicted that Imp was going to use the Condemn at that exact moment.
And of course, knowing that that flash is missing, perhaps the hero's entrance still on cooldown from the skirmish just a few moments ago. JD turned their focus onto the Rift Herald and this Ocean Dragon. So we are seeing some objective trades as Clearlove still focusing the bottom side of the map by instead setting up his solo laners, Ray and Scout, by keeping them safe. There's a bit of a sacrifice for iBoy, but he's still even in CS with Imp, so it's no problem.
This is far more favorable for JD Gaming, though. Their composition does want to stretch out the map, does want to have all of these long lanes going where EDG can't group as efficiently.
Uh-oh. Yagao! Oh, actually got the Realm Warp out before the hero's entrance. Thumbs up, he says. Okay. We're fine. Sonic Wave lands. Levi goes back in, dashes into the minion, but dies. The auto attack. Imp. Oh, Imp goes in, but Imp goes down. iBoy gives him the old thumbs up as Shelly finishes off the turret. 2 turrets to 0, but EDG are on the board, and iBoy has got the flare.
That was very unnecessary from JD Gaming. They already had the tower down. Mid lane was rotating up, but they just wanted a little bit more. They wanted to go for the kill, and two people pay the price for it. Absolute shellacking coming in from iBoy.
Perhaps showing the emotions involved in this game, because when you're playing against EDG, it's never just a game. It's emotional warfare, the mental battle against the Dynasty, against the Monolith that you also have to compete with. And iBoy, he takes it one step further by making it personal. As we see Levi go in, oh, what a flash! I don't know, that wasn't even the flash, that was the arcade shift.
It was just an arcade
Saves
shift.
the flash to bait Imp over the wall. Oof. Oh, man. Got to give it the final hour tumble flash, my friend.
Yeah, that was pretty smart from iBoy. The last tick of it, he used his Q first because you can't really dodge out on the Q when you're flashing over the wall, and then finishes off with the auto attack. So even if he went into invisibility, he was still dead.
Yeah.
Good burst control right there.
Imp, he was feeling it. He was feeling it. Let's see if he continues to, as he's now 15 CS down behind iBoy. And, ooh, that's a lot of damage. Scout is burning down and dies. Lumao finds himself the kill. Mako forced to run. iBoy doing just a bit of poke damage with that Iceborne Gauntlet and a very early Muramana transformation. Actually, it's 17 minutes into the game. How did that happen? Seems like time is absolutely flying by in this one as JD group up mid to put pressure on EDG.
Well, things are easier when you get an Ocean Drake early on, so.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah. Let's get the mana sustain. I want to take stock of the situation on the side lanes, because EDG currently, they're not able to send LeBlanc and match Yagao at this point. Even with LeBlanc slightly ahead of items, I don't think he can really do it. So it's about JD Gaming and how they can move around their pieces at this point. Yagao's going to be a big one where he can try and cheat his way out of the lane and see if he can find some picks towards the middle of the map.
Right now, he's just trying to hold his own up against the strong solo lane of that Vladimir as he pushes all the way up to the tier 2, even looking at the Gromp to keep Ray busy. What this is allowing is Imp to get farm and CS in that mid lane as he's still sitting on one item. No Guinsoo's Rage Blade finished. Level 11 to iBoy's level 12 right now. And certainly, it is helpful that Yagao and Zoom are pulling attention, but eventually, it's got to come back to Imp on that vein. He has to get more items, he has to get more gold so that he can be weaponized effectively, because it's going to take more than a Ryze and a Yorick to bring down EDG.
Yeah, EDG, they're looking for that first Infernal. Remember, their win condition for the composition is a one-shot comp. The Wombo combo comes down, it can instantly wipe your entire team. So they're really looking to set up chokeholds in these corridors, try to catch JD Gaming as they walk into the river. I think that's going to be the main point where they will strike.
We're starting to see that with some of the wards that EDG are placing around that Infernal Dragon. Even though EDG are up 5 kills to 3, nearly 2,000 gold ahead of JD, it's still defensive control wards. One in the Pixel Brush and the Scuttle Crab. That's the only offensive vision that they have. The rest are in front of the mid-tier 1. One at the blue buff, another one by the Raptor camp. It's still very patient play from Edward Gaming, almost expecting JD to move forward and make a mistake.
I actually really like the control wards that EDG are placing, because they understand that JD Gaming are going to have to push advantage in the top side no matter if it's Yorick or Ryze. So what they're doing is, hey, if you're going to cheat towards the mid lane, we can cheat there towards you and you're not going to see us. We have two controllers to deny that vision.
And look at how quickly that vision has moved forward as Lumao ate some big chunks. The turret finally finished off. Lumao forced to ult, but it is way too late. He goes down to iBoy 3-1-1. And now the ward line has just moved forward one whole unit covering that river.
That was rather unexpected.
It indeed was.
Lumao actually popped his ultimate and still fell down.
Not a huge amount of damage reduction as Yagao inside the Cataclysm flashes away from the True Shot Barrage, but that's another summoner spell now missing from JD, and the Unbreakable Will from Lumao gone. Infernal Dragon's up, and EDG, they just push the tempo, and JD can't dance to the beat.
2 hour contest. I don't think they're actually going to do anything. This Baron Rush, the teleport being used right now, but it should be spotted out by EDG. I don't think they can pull it off in time.
Realm Warp to get into it. Clear Love finishes off the Dragon. It's down to about half health. Ray now spots it out. He's got the Hemoplague Flash plus double NLR. He does some big damage. Meanwhile, Mako eating some hits from Imp and Lumao. That's the heal. Ray goes in. He's got the Hemoplague, drops it, but that's Baron secured by JD Gaming. Imp forced to turn and run. Yagao running for his life too, but remember, no flash. He dies as iBoy gets to kill. A late flash from Zoom, but Scout is on the chase, and Mako is on the case. The taunt will land, and Zoom will die inevitably. Let's see who they give the kill to. It's Scout for EDG. 9 kills to 3, though the desperate Baron play works off for JD Gaming.
I actually doubt it was worthwhile. If you look at who has the Baron buff, it's Lee Sin and Vayne, and neither of those are going to be your split pushers anyway. So in terms of the effect of the Baron, not worthwhile. In terms of the kill gold and the difference it actually gives to EDG, I actually still don't think it's worthwhile. Remember, EDG basically got an Infernal Drake out of this trade, and the number of kills going over and the map pressure they're going to get out of this should be still favorable for EDG. So I like what Imp does here. He's a big part of what made this play possible, predicting the path of the EDG, making sure he gets some damage off of this. But the key thing for me is after this replay, I do want to see where the kills go to. If it goes to Scout, that's pretty much lights out for JD Gaming. I don't think they even have the champions that can withstand the amount of damage Scout will be dishing out if those kills have all went his way.
Yeah,
so only actually one kill.
4. So he's getting some gold over here. Luden's Banshees, as he's taking a bit more defensive route just to keep himself safe, but he's definitely got a lot of burst coming on the way. Already you can see Imp with the Null Magic Mantle after finishing off the Guinsoo's knows he needs a Hex Drinker, if not now, but soon. And EDG, even though JD have the Baron buff, find themselves ready to siege. Scout on the flank. Clear Love leads the charge. No hesitation. With Yagao in a side lane, there's nothing that can prevent this turret from going down. It crumbles. 4 turrets to 2 at EDG. Again, this is the macro that we were talking about. They see an opening, they strike fast, and they strike hard.
Yeah, EDG are just so clean when they do something like this. We have to mention that they did it because 2 of their side lanes from JD Gaming were actually showing. So 5v3, that was a guarantee in the mid lane, and they're not going to wait for the play to happen at all. They just go straight in, escort the minion wave. I don't care if you have a Baron buff or not. You're not going to contest this 5v3. There's no way you actually win out on this.
And it does mean that now EDG, with all of this map control, with the middle tier 2 turret broken, have got so much flexibility if they want to enact a 1-4 or even a 1-3-1 to try to cope with the Ryze Yorick in those side lanes. Especially knowing that iBoy, 4-1-1, 2.5 items nearly on that third, is more than capable of handling the remaining 3 split of JD to try and match it. EDG, they've got their pick of the litter of what's coming next, and with Infernal Dragon in 2 minutes and Baron about 2.5 minutes after that, things might be looking a bit dire for JD as the game is starting to accelerate away from them. Though still, they're not out of this just yet. Only 4,000 gold separates the teams.
Yep, and Vayne with that build is not very afraid of the poke damage that Scout can do. You can see with the Hex Drinker, he's actually surviving quite well. I think this game is actually super reminiscent to our previous series where BLG played Rogue Warriors. BLG is a team that is located right next to EDG.
Yeah.
They're actually neighbors. So it seems pretty obvious to me that these guys are screwed.
Putting some time together on the training tool in the Rift.
Yeah, the play patterns are very similar. It's all about cutting people out from the rotations that they want to make. It's about making assured plays, 100% plays where you know you actually have the stronger point on the map. And just forcing the issue as soon as possible.
If Rogue Warriors didn't have the capability of trying to break that style, that BLG style that we're seeing here in EDG, you have to look at who JD are the closest to geographically. And that's RNG in Beijing. Could we be seeing some RNG-esque, well, hyper-carry Vayne style? Cough, cough, hint, hint. Perhaps
Could
some
be.
scrims between the 2 Beijing teams?
Could be. I mean, we don't know if they're a Los Angeles Lakers and Clippers situation.
Yeah.
Or, are they actually evenly matched most of the time?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But hey, there's still plenty of time for this composition from JD to scale up. They just need to survive a little bit longer as Ray drops into the tides of blood in order to keep himself nice and healthy. Healthy.
So it's actually going to be a straight turret trade for JD Gaming, which is actually favorable for them. They will lose out on the Infernal, but I don't think they wanted to contest anyway.
Starting to step forward onto this top tier 2 turret. Yeah, there's the Infernal that you just mentioned, going to be cleaned up by EDG. So still the turrets trade over 5-3. And when it's all said and done, still about a 4,000 gold lead for Edward Gaming. A lot of that gold is on iBoy. Some of the rest of it is pretty evenly distributed amongst Ray, Clearlove, and Scout, but you gotta look towards iBoy. If they find a pick, if Yagao gets a Rune Prison and Imp gets just a few auto attacks, that fight could take a whole different turn.
It's a very difficult team fight for Imp to maneuver, and I'm actually very surprised he would go for something like this.
Blind pick Vayne before seeing enemy AD carry, after seeing a LeBlanc.
Also with Jarvan. Jarvan's quite deadly against the Vayne as well. There's nothing you can do. His Cataclysm is unstoppable, so
yep.
It almost already guarantees a chunk of damage and also locks you down in an arena, forces the tumbles out early. Mako as well, punishes short range carries very well. Vladimir, kind of the same deal. This is basically why we see Vladimir rising in the meta, because he's very well adept at dealing with champions like Sivir or like the Vayne.
A discount Lissandra, almost.
Pretty much. AoE Lissandra, I would call it.
Yeah.
With a bit shorter range, but still the same concept.
And again, it should be noted that the Lissandra was banned by EDG, so they're very cognizant of this style and strategy. Though we do see Yagao hanging out with Zoom over in the side lane. Ray, gosh, how does he know? Just manages to sit back in that brush and keep himself safe. Now Baron has spawned on the other side of the map. Teleport is ready for both Zoom and Yagao, as the Maiden and these Mistwalkers are going to start pushing into the turret. Not going to get too much damage if they leash onto it, but could just be enough to keep Ray down on this side of the map, because EDG are already setting up around the Baron.
Interesting use of the two champions in the bot side. They're going to try to force it.
Levi's in a real bad spot. Oh, makes it out. There's the Cataclysm. Doesn't want to burn the flash. He hops over the wall, makes it to Mako, but not far enough. Dies to Scout. The jungler is dead. It's now or nothing for JD. They've got two split pushers, and with the jungler gone, they have to give up the Baron, so they are trying to get whatever they can.
And I don't think JD Gaming's solo laners can actually teleport at this point. They're just going to have to try an all-in trade for towers, see if they can get a kill onto Ray. They do get the Morning Mist, but it's not going to be enough to finish his health pool.
Baron picked up by Clearlove. The middle tier 2 broken down by Imp and Lumao, who soak these hits. Mako tries to feign some aggression with the Shield of Duran, but Lumao doesn't blink, just bats him away as the turret is finished off. And the bottom tier 1 has been taken as well. So still 6 turrets to 5 for JD, though that is soon about to equalize and swing back in the favor. Here comes the Wrecking Ball. Can EDG catch it? Or sorry, can JD catch it, or will they crumble?
That's a question we have to wait for. EDG's composition 5v5, probably not as immediately strong as JD Gaming's comp. They have a lot more bruiser power in the front lines. But with the minion wave pushing in, it's definitely a composition that can siege very easily. They have the range advantage to most of their engages that we've seen. And I really expect them to start sieging, to start grouping up.
There's plenty of opportunity for EDG to do so, especially with that Baron for the next 2.5 minutes. They're looking for Yagao in the top lane right now. He's got flash, but with Scout there, decides not to burn it, just gets caught by the ethereal chains. Shields himself up just a little bit to soak a butt. To soak a bit of damage. But it's not enough. It's been a long day.
You're awesome,
Clement.
Dom. You're awesome, Dom.
Oh, man.
Welcome back to the LPL.
Oh, boy. It's been a long day. But here comes the siege. Inhibitor turret is the target with Scout zoning Lumao and Imp off. It crumbles very quickly.
I like how Clearlove actually built his Jarvan. He didn't actually go for an engaged Jarvan. He made sure that he was able to punish the side lanes. A lot of times we see Flawless, he builds his Jarvan just, straight Cinderhawk into Gargoyle Stoneplay. But Clearlove reads JD Gaming's composition. He says, they're going for a 1-3-1 type comp. I need to have kill pressure in these side lanes. And just goes for the Black Cleaver instead.
He absolutely does have it. If he can find someone out of position, he does some big damage As, ooh, that's the ethereal chains onto Lumao. He pops the ultimate, tries to soak some of these butts, but it's not enough as he makes his way back onto the fountain, still alive. JD Gaming holding their ground, but they are just giving up inch after inch. When do they draw the line in the sand? They've got the Vayne, they've got the Rise. Imp is down to half. And look at the damage iBoy is doing to these turrets with a single auto attack. Mako takes a few hits as the mists start to get a bit of damage. There's Sonic Wave onto iBoy. But with Ray, Clearlove, and Mako standing sentinel, there's no chance that JD can go in. And JD are just being smothered.
They're getting smacked around the rift. Every time they walk out of that containment, EDG instant punish right off the bat. Clearlove is always in position to clamp down on those side lanes as they push out. Edward Gaming, they're just reading the map positions far beyond the abilities of JD Gaming.
That's the Realm Warp. I can't believe it. or EDG tried to set up a trap, but they find themselves caught out. Scout lands the ethereal chains onto Lumao. They manage to find Mako and Clearlove. He goes down. Teleport is activated. Ray trying to get into the fight, but Mako's already got a double kill for Imp. But Ray and Scout are on the wrong side of this. They're actually pinging onto the Nexus, and they're a little bit faster with that LeBlanc. The Vladimir now running as far away as he can. Drops the Hemoplague, Tides of Blood to heal himself back up. Gets back in, the double knockup. Imp finds himself his third kill as Scout is now running. And EDG, they set the mousetrap, but it springs upon their own hand.
And this is JD Gaming at their finest, the ability to come out of nowhere and catch multiple members on the team. They were willing to use the Realm Warp and the teleports all at once to make that big risky play, and EDG are completely caught unawares. I especially like that Dark Procession play coming in from Zoom. The Flash W just to get 2 more roommates. It's like, hey, you guys want to come in and chat with me a little while?
Spend a little time with me, with the old Yorick. When he's already got the whole nuclear family, I think we called it. Here's that play again, and it all starts from Zoom, getting the Scryer's Bloom. The moment EDG see that, they know they've stayed too far. Yeah, they're like, wait a minute, why is there someone behind me at this point? And it's a perfect finish. Zoom even gets the stop onto the Justice Punch. Easy cleanup kill right there. And it did look like EDG for a moment, they were contemplating maybe trying to get a little bit more minion waves. Oh, okay, so I understand what they were thinking about. They wanted to run all the way back towards the base. But they decided to stop them for a while just to allow the minions to take down the Nexus towers. So Clement, I think JD might have done it. They might have finally lasted long enough to get that team fight that they've been waiting for this entire time. When they get EDG split up piecemeal, they can find the kills easy. But will EDG make that mistake again? Will they be caught unaware by a flanking teleport or perhaps a quick rush down from JD? Because very clearly, JD are now moving as a solid 5-man unit.
This is going to be a massive test for Ray. How can Ray communicate cross-map? It's always been the weakness for EDG, but with how many inhibitors they have down on JD Gaming's side, it should be relatively easy to just push the wave in and have that uneven number fight where Ray is already en route towards the Baron buff. And I want to see how he really decides to use this. This is a situation, there's 2 types they can do. They can go in 5v3 when they see the 2 silence show up, or they can just use the timing windows where JD Gaming have to go back to base and deal with those super minions.
Oh, good sidestep from Yagao to get away from the ethereal chains. And this, I think, was what you were talking about. Seeing EDG look for poke, look for an opportunity to split JD apart and find kills, prevent the 5v5 from coming together. And they're starting to wedge themselves in between these lanes, as you've just mentioned. But now the waves have been prepared. There is a bit of time for JD before they have to worry about top once again. But EDG, they're standing in the brush on the way to that Baron. It has just respawned, and EDG are ready. Scout is looking for the opening. There's the True Shot Barrage. It finds Yagao. Imp is still nice and healthy. The Maiden is going to take some hits here. Lumao with the charge. Manages to find Clearlove. That's the Guardian Angel proc. Mako goes golden way too early. Scout goes for the one-on-one into Yagao. He's inside of the minion wave, so Yagao can't get a lot of damage. He ends up getting popped. Imp is trying to deal some trades on the far side. He's still doing whatever he can. He's dive throw with Lumao. Imp gets knocked out, but he's still free-firing. Meanwhile, iBoy with the GA misses one shot and chases onto Imp. Brings the come at me, bro. And JD end up dropping down. EDG get the ace without losing a single member.
A 5-for-1 perfect team fight coming out from EDG. JD Gaming, they didn't want to let the Maiden go. That's a major part of Yorick's damage at that point. So they go in, but the target that they select really wasn't the target that they wanted. The iBoy and Scout really untouched throughout the entirety of the fight, and Imp, even though he dodges and weaves around as much as he wants, he can't hold off the power of the Dynasty. EDG shows up trumps.
And ultimately, it is EDG baiting a 5v5 team fight and turning it into 2 team fights, a 4v4 and a 1v1. With Yagao split off on that Rise, trying to duel a LeBlanc inside of a minion wave. Rise has got the delayed damage. He has to land the spell flux. He has, before he can land the overcharge. Not getting that combo off, delayed his damage. He ended up going down, turned into a 5v4. We saw it all shake out from there as EDG take JD's win condition, dangle it in front of them, and then pull it away at the last second with a split.
And this is one more game where it looked like EDG actually started off on a pretty bad foot. Their bot lane was not doing as well as they possibly could, but the jungle difference was just massive. It was only 2k damage, but ClearLove made so many more plays compared to Levi.
Yeah.
The mid synergy was better. They forced out flashes consistently. They never allowed the 1-3-1 to develop, and you can see just the power of ClearLove, his understanding of the game, knowing that he has to go damage, knowing his job throughout the entire game was just to shut down the strategy from JD Gaming and never allow them to drag the game out.
It really looks like this is the EDG that we almost dream of so often. Whenever we see them have good performances, or they go 90% of the way to what could be their full potential, this was actually a chance for us to see them go 90% of the way, make a mistake, and then immediately learn from it in game on the Rift, and then use that as a tool against JD Gaming just a few minutes later. So still big points, as you said, to ClearLove to know his role in that. I'm sure the ClearLove effect had some sort of impact on how quickly they were able to pivot.
Yeah, definitely. It was very obvious, and I hate to say this about Levi, but it doesn't feel like he's necessarily communicating with the pieces quite yet. The gel doesn't seem to be there, so I do expect a flawless swap in Game 2.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what it's going to be as we've got Game 2 coming at you in just a few. Don't go anywhere. The LPL is going to be right back.